Good afternoon and welcome to today's DT lesson. So our learning objective for today is to write instructions on how to make a mini greenhouse. And the big question is how to make a mini greenhouse. So our steps to success are to look at your designs from last week, change if you need to with the materials that you have. 2, create your greenhouse with the materials you have. 3, write instructions on how to build it. And then 3A, if you don't make one, you need to watch the video and write the instructions on that. So I'll go through all of those in a moment as we go throughout the lesson. Okay, so some vocabulary that we'll need to look at today is construct and instruction. So think about what those mean. Okay, if we are constructing something, we are making it or building something. So today we're going to construct a greenhouse. We're actually going to make it or build it. And then instructions is a written or verbal, so that means spoken or talking. So written or verbal information on how to do something. So you're going to be writing some instructions for me to tell me how you made your greenhouse. Okay, so just as an example of what we've done in the previous weeks, these are some examples of greenhouses that we've looked at, some mini greenhouses. We've also looked at different materials that we can use around the house to build a greenhouse. And last week in the lesson, I said to you that you should try and collect some recycled materials. So this week you could build your greenhouse. So hopefully you've managed to do some of that. Okay, then last week, we just looked at different kind of shapes that a greenhouse could be. So I hope that you got some inspiration from these shapes. And then we also looked at using the correct materials to make it stable, using tape or glue to fix everything together. And then some examples that we could use were plastic, straws, or wooden sticks. Okay, so last week, I asked you to plan and sketch a greenhouse. So some of you did it for some certain people. So I did mine for Marek, and then I designed mine for what he said. And I think some of you might have done your own design as well. That's fine. Whichever one you chose, you're going to try and make your greenhouse now. You're going to construct it. Now, obviously, you do not need to follow this design exactly. If you've managed to collect some materials, then you're going to create that greenhouse yourself with those materials. So you can be creative. You don't have to do the exact design that you planned last week. So today's activity is for everybody to be doing the same thing. So this week, I would like you to be creative in building a mini greenhouse. Make it out of any recyclable material that you have. If you've collected some plastic containers or some cups or some Coke bottles, you can definitely make it out of that. If you have a garden, fill it up with soil and some seeds that you have collected. So if you don't have a garden, that's absolutely fine. You can either go to the park and maybe collect some soil there, but at the end of the day, you don't have to fill it up with plants and soil. I would just like to see your actual greenhouse that you've constructed from recyclable materials. So when you have made your greenhouse, there will be an assignment for you to do in teams to type the instructions into. So remember to have headings, subheadings, and bullet points. Okay, and then if you'd like to attach a picture into your assignment as well of your greenhouse, that'll be amazing. Or you can email me the picture to the year 4 email address. So I'm just going to show you what it might look like in Teams. So when you open your Teams assignment, you're going to have a Word document and it says add your title. So you can delete that and you might want to put in how to make a greenhouse. And then what materials you need. So that's your subheading. So you might need scissors, plastic tray. Okay, so everything that you use to build your greenhouse, you would list over here. Then you would go on further to make another bullet point of writing the instructions. So you would say, number 1, first collect a plastic container. And then number 2, then you would carry on giving me your instructions of how you made your mini greenhouse. And these are just some features that you need to include. So use a how-to in the title, make a list, use numbers, imperative verbs, so mix or stone. Obviously you wouldn't use that for this one, but you might want to use the words cut or put, short, clear sentences. And like I said earlier, you can just send me a picture of your greenhouse or attach it to this form. Okay, now if you are not able to make a greenhouse, then I'm going to show you a video now, and then that video you need to write instructions on. So either way, everybody needs to write instructions on how to make a greenhouse. So you're either going to make it yourself, or you're going to watch the video and then write instructions on how the person in that video made the greenhouse. Okay, so I'm going to share that with you now. And then after you've watched if you're not going to watch the video and make your own, then you can carry on. If you are going to watch the video, then watch the video to the end and then complete your assignments.
Recycled bottles to make a little greenhouse. So as you can see here, taking the tops off of these, they're quite simple to make. I'll try and get this top off with one hand. So there we are, just taking the top off there, and these tops can come off now. I've got sunflowers in these little improvised greenhouses. They're pretty handy. So we'll go inside now and show you how to make this simple little greenhouse. Right then, so get your bottle. This is a cider bottle, but it'll work with most plastic bottles. This is pretty much the same size as a Coke bottle or a Pepsi bottle. First of all, it's quick and easy, effective. I think it's good to recycle stuff, and you know, you make your plant pots out of these bottles. And I think it's good for people to recycle at an individual level, to recycle as much as you can yourself. Anyway, so first of all, cut around the bottle with a knife, or get it started. And as you've made that incision, you can use a pair of scissors just to cut around the bottle. And so there are two halves there. I'll take this bit of paper off. Let's see what we're doing. Both bits. What we need to do is we'll drill some holes around the top part, and also drill some holes in the bottom to give it a bit of drainage. So drainage for the bottom part and some aeration for the top half. So we'll drill some holes in here just to give it a bit of air for the plants once we slot this on top of the other part of the bottle. Right, so we'll drill some holes in the base. And now we'll drill some holes in the top half. now we've got the holes drilled on both ends of the bottle, and so here's the top which fits over the bottom, but to make that easier to fit on, just cut a couple of slots on either side of the top half of the bottle, and that should fit nicely over the top bottom half. I see, there. So there we are. I mean, this top works quite handy as well. You don't have to keep taking the main part of the bottle on and off when you want to water your plants. You can just water the plants straight through the top once you've filled the bottom half up with soil and you've got your seeds in there. And there we are. Right, so I filled this up with a bit of soil, and I'm just going to put a couple of, or a few, sunflower seeds into the soil here. So just put those seeds just slightly under the soil. These are small sunflower seeds, or sunflower seeds for like a dwarf sunflower. And we'll take this outside now. I'll water it outside, put a bit of water on it, and that's good to go. Right, so we can give this a bit of water, and put the top half back on. And those seeds should come up in maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And once they come up, you start taking the tops off. I think these have been in these pots about 3 weeks.